Welcome. The audio for this event is broadcasting by phone and online. This event is lecture only. The microphones are muted to reduce background noise. To adjust the audio through your computer, go to the bottom left of the screen, click the small arrow next to audio settings, and select a speaker. Some viewers get better audio when streaming, while others get better quality by phone. So if you have any audio difficulties, you may want to try a different connection method. There are several Zoom features we will use. At the top of the screen, click the View Options button and select Exit Full Screen to display the chat panel on the right side of the slides. Use the chat panel to receive links and resource information from the panelists or to share an idea and respond to session activities. When using chat, please select Everyone from the drop-down menu. This allows everyone to see your comments. Use the raise hand feature if you have a technical issue and need assistance. The support team will message you individually via chat. Select the closed captioning icon for live captioning in English. If you wish to view captioning in Spanish, select the stream text link posted in chat to view them in your browser. We are recording this event, so let's start the recording and turn it over to our presenters.
Good afternoon, everyone. This meeting of the AmeriCorps Board of Directors meeting will now come to order. Welcome, everyone, and thank you on behalf of the board and everyone at AmeriCorps for joining us today. This is the first meeting of 2024. We are midway through the AmeriCorps 30th anniversary. That is 30 years of getting things done for America. I want to thank everyone here at AmeriCorps at headquarters and around the country for everything that you all do to make this organization what it is. Without you, we wouldn't be who we are today. Over the history of our 30 years, we've had 1.3 million AmeriCorps alumni and many millions more of our AmeriCorps senior volunteers. So it's a pretty impressive group of people, and you're one of those folks. So thank you for all you do. Since the agency was created, AmeriCorps has risen to meet the challenges of some of the most urgent challenges that we faced in the United States. Along the way, we have inspired millions of new people to become lifelong civic leaders. Today, in January, on Martin Luther King's Day, the day of service, AmeriCorps awarded more than $1.4 million to 10 organizations. Those 10 organizations hosted 175 events in 22 states and in DC. All told, these events made it possible for over 100,000 people to volunteer in honor of Dr. King's legacy. So thank you to all of you who participated in that. I had the opportunity, along with our CEO, Michael, to serve with President Biden in Philadelphia. We met many volunteers that day, and most of them were very young. And the nice thing about that is we know once you start serving when you're young, people continue to serve. So we were excited to have so many young folks. And the only challenge we had that day was convincing President Biden that he had moved on to his next event. Because there was a moment we had to say, no, now is time to do your next event, sir. So it was great to serve with him that day, and the students and the young people had a great opportunity. He asked lots of questions, why they're involved and what they were doing. And I think it was great for him to hear all about what we do here at AmeriCorps and what all you do out in the country. We have a packed agenda today. which I'll preview now. We're going to start with Michael, who will provide an overview of the CEO's report. Then we'll share information about the CEO letter that was shared with the White House. Alvin Warren will provide an update from OGA, and we will reflect on any actions from the board. And at the end with the spotlight, we're going to end with the spotlight on Native nations. And then we'll open up for public comment to hear from you, what you might have to say, thoughts you have. We're open to hearing all of your comments. So if you have anything, they will show us at the end. You'll get instructions from LSI on how to do that. But I want to turn this over to Michael, who I want to say at this point, before I turn it over, congratulate Michael and all of the team here at headquarters who are working and around the country who are making the 30th anniversary such a great thing. I think the work that you all do here and leading this organization is really important. And I wanted to say that in front of everyone today, because I don't know we thank you enough for that. So thank you, Michael, and I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you to board members, the best board that anyone could ask for, that works hard every day as volunteers yourself, I would add, to really drive this work forward and making sure on the hard issues, whether that's our financial and operational reform, on our grant making process, on the sticky decisions that we've had to make. It's so nice to know that we have your support and your drive, and I'm truly grateful for all of you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our public board meeting. I just want to start by saying, AmeriCorps continues to be at the forefront of issues that the country cares about most. And we are starting off the year strong. One of those issues on our doorsteps is the climate crisis. Since President Biden announced the new American Climate Corps in September, 50,000 people have expressed interest in joining. 50,000 people. And 2,200 people have participated in listening sessions that we hosted with the White House. And I think that really just demonstrates how important this work is and how eager young adults are to take action on the climate crisis. AmeriCorps is proud to be the coordinating federal agency of the American Climate Corps, working alongside 6 other federal agencies, including the Departments of Commerce, Interior, Agriculture, Labor, Energy, and the Environmental Protection Agency. And in recent months, we announced the first American Climate Corps programs in partnership with the USDA. So it wasn't just a press release, we are already moving forward to action. The first partnership with the USDA is the AmeriCorps NCCC Forest Corps, which is a $15 million agreement with the U.S. Forest Service that will not only give AmeriCorps members the chance to build forestry skills, to grow their resumes, but it will also increase the resilience of our country's forests. The second partnership with USDA is the Working Lands Climate Corps, which is going to create more than 100 new AmeriCorps positions, where members will learn technical skills for climate-smart agriculture, like helping farmers to improve soil health and keeping carbon in the ground instead of in the atmosphere. Or they're going to do some work that's related to reducing runoff from working lands to ensure our water supplies stay clean and provide healthy drinking water to communities. The American Climate Corps will improve the lives of individuals and communities throughout the nation while helping the United States face intersecting challenges, including the catastrophic and disproportionate impacts of climate change and unequal access to training, higher education, and high-quality jobs. And through the partnerships with national service grantees, labor organizations, apprenticeship readiness programs, and registered apprenticeships, also educational institutions and other organizations, the American Climate Corps is going to build a diverse base of talented, skilled, certified, and apprentice-able workers for good paying jobs in the public sector and the private sector. So we know that this is one of the key steps to reducing barriers to service and making it possible for people with different economic backgrounds to serve with AmeriCorps. And as we continue to focus on the member experience, we are also investing in programs that create economic opportunity and pathways to success in the communities where members serve. For me, this week is a fun week, not only because of this great board meeting, or we kicked it off with our state service commissions, but this week also marks the 10th anniversary of My Brother's Keeper, an initiative that I had the opportunity to lead before coming here. My Brother's Keeper was launched by President Obama in 2014 after the killing of Trayvon Martin. And the goal of My Brother's Keeper was to address the persistent opportunity gaps faced by boys and young men of color and to make sure that all young people could reach their full potential. What I am so proud about is AmeriCorps played a critical role in launching My Brother's Keeper as a part of the federal My Brother's Keeper task force back in 2014. And between 2014 and 2016, AmeriCorps invested nearly $40 million to improve academic and social outcome for boys and young men of color, to support an increase in evidence-based mentoring programs, and to create pathways for opportunity for young people, and to provide staffing for MBK communities across the nation. That early investment from AmeriCorps was critical for bringing the initiative to scale and for creating opportunity for children and families. And recently, I was actually with our team in Sacramento, where I joined a gathering of hundreds of enthusiastic, energetic teen boys. And that was especially important because it was 8:30 in the morning when we arrived, and they were enthusiastic and energetic at 8:30 in the morning. And these young men participate in mentoring programs through MBK Sacramento and Improve Your Tomorrow and AmeriCorps Grantee. Improve Your Tomorrow's acronym is IYT. We have to make everything an acronym here in Washington. So IYT's AmeriCorps Mentorship Fellowship is a year-long opportunity for diverse college students to develop strong, innovative, and empathetic leadership skills while supporting young men of color on their journey to and through college. And in the process, 99% of the young men that participate in IYT's AmeriCorps Mentorship Program graduated from high school, and 70% of them went on to college. On the same trip in California, I also had the chance to meet with another amazing AmeriCorps program, iFoster. And iFoster provides an opportunity for people who have lived experience in the foster care system to train and serve as peer navigators and mentors for other youth that are navigating the foster care system themselves. I met with AmeriCorps members who shared how their struggles in the foster care system made them not want to run away, not do something else, but made them want to dive in to fix the system and make it better for the young people that came behind them. And iFoster works. A USC study shows that in combination with iFoster Tech, transition age foster youth working with iFoster improve their grades, they increase their applications to college and employment, improve life satisfaction, and decrease depression and suicidality. And so that is the work that's happening. iFoster and My Brother's Keeper are truly perfect illustrations of the fact that every time in the past 30 years that America has called, AmeriCorps has answered. We've pivoted to respond to the issues of greatest national urgency, and we've done so with a force of dedicated change makers that look like the communities they serve and have the lived experience that helps them better understand and navigate the challenges they're working to resolve. On the agency side, we remain committed to expanding opportunity and reducing barriers to service so that community and national service is not a luxury for the few, but a transformative opportunity for the many. No matter where you come from, no matter how much money your parents make, no matter what neighborhood you're in, we're going to make sure that AmeriCorps is an opportunity for you. As I mentioned before, President Biden has called to raise the minimum living allowance to $15 an hour, and AmeriCorps has taken steps toward that goal by increasing it to $11 an hour this year. And I've heard across the country from AmeriCorps members who have said that matters so much to their ability to keep food in their belly and a roof over their head. Our champions in Congress have also introduced a bill to eliminate the tax on the Siegel Education Award so that members realize the full benefit of their award without out-of-pocket tax liability. We're also proposing a new rule for AmeriCorps seniors that will remove barriers to service for older adults. And what that proposed rule is going to do is make it easier for project directors to determine if volunteers are eligible for a stipend, which means it's a faster process from application to getting started at a volunteer site. And my pages are sticking together. It's also going to allow volunteers to continue receiving the stipend during extenuating circumstances. For example, if the school where they are serving unexpectedly shuts down because of a broken furnace or an RSV outbreak, things beyond control, then they should be able to continue receiving their stipend. It's also going to allow sponsors to add value to the minimum stipend amount. This last part is particularly exciting as it gives program the opportunity to work with outside partners like local philanthropy to increase the benefits of service and to attract more diverse volunteers. And I tell you, I've met with a lot of our AmeriCorps seniors across the country who are sometimes struggling to get transportation from one side of town to another or make sure they have lunch that day. And, sometimes I've heard from our AmeriCorps seniors who are using their own stipends to provide, things that their young people need. So we're going to want to make sure that we can remove some of these barriers so we can bring in more dollars to support our seniors who are doing such extraordinary work in their communities. This year, our AmeriCorps Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility has launched a new cultural learning community, which is a 12-month learning series featuring DEIA topics available for the entire AmeriCorps community, members, senior volunteers, grantees, and employees. And not only is that part of our strategic plan, it's also the right thing to do. And it helps ensure that the AmeriCorps experience fosters a sense of belonging and respect across difference. Our next session is coming up this month on March 21st, so mark your calendars. It's going to focus on how to show up for people with disabilities and move beyond mandatory accommodations to being a more supportive ally. So in closing, I want to say that I am incredibly proud of the work that AmeriCorps is doing and continues to do to make our next 30 years even better than the past 30 years. So whether it was 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, the pandemic, or now the climate crisis and post-pandemic challenges in our schools, AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers run towards the crisis. And in turn, they strengthen communities and transform lives, including their own. That's why we're going to continue to focus on equity, innovation, and impact, and why we refuse to remain stagnant or to continue ineffective policies, programs, and investments just because that's the way things have always been done. And as you've heard from my report, this focus is supported by this board of directors, and it's going to make all the difference for children and families across the nation in greatest need. So thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board for allowing me to deliver this report.
Okay, thank you, Michael. That was quite the report. I think you have any more hours in the day to do any work. I'm not sure, but we appreciate all the hard work that you're doing and that everybody here is. The next order of business is the annual performance review of the AmeriCorps CEO. This is one of our responsibilities as a board, and it's under statute and bylaws. And we are required to share this report with the president. So we found the performance of the CEO favorable and sent a letter to President Biden indicating that in December. We also want to make this information transparent to all of you. So we will be posting it on the AmeriCorps website under the Board of Directors page. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew of that. So thank you, Michael, for all the work that you're doing.
I'm glad it's favorable, or this would have been a really awkward moment.
No, it's okay. Our next order of business is to hear a report from the Oversight, Governance, and Audit Committee. And I want to turn this over to Alvin now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I appreciate the opportunity to provide this update on the Oversight, Governance, and Audit Committee's activities. Before I do, I just want to kind of ground this in something that Michael said. Everything I'm about to talk about really is about helping to ensure that we as a board and as a staff are doing everything we can to make sure that AmeriCorps remains a strong agency that's able to provide that transformative opportunity for the many that Michael talked about for the next 30 years and beyond. So please keep that in mind as I'm kind of going through this quick report. So since the last board meeting, the OGA committee has met twice in October and in January. The committee is prepared to continue supporting the agency as it starts its second year of reform activities. I'm happy to share that our committee is seeing marked progress towards reform through regular and consistent dashboard reporting. The reform dashboard that we've worked with staff to create gives a clear understanding of what the highest priorities are for reform, It also gives us a clear indication of the progress that's getting made, the performance outcomes, as well as any delays and bottlenecks in our efforts. The work particularly that we are focused on is financial and operational reform. It's not easy. This is work that is going to take years. But I'm really proud, and I know the rest of our committee members are proud of the work that our staff is doing in this effort across the board. We're also confident in the agency's plans to remediate the audit findings that we've had, to manage risk successfully, and to implement the much needed operational reforms. What's happening now are several things that are going to strengthen our operational foundation, which we know, as I mentioned a little bit ago, are essential to AmeriCorps being able to accomplish our very important mission for the country and for communities all over our country. Our committee is going to continue to prioritize oversight, particularly of IT modernization efforts, as this project enters its last year. IT modernization provides significant benefits to our agency in many areas, but specifically allows key reforms to be met through improved financial management and oversight, and also improved experience for our members and volunteers. So the OGA committee is going to continue to meet every quarter. Our next meeting is scheduled in April. As always, if you have any feedback or input you'd like to provide, please email us at board@americorps.gov. One more time, that's board@americorps.gov. So thank you very much. I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Alvin. Anyone else have anything they want to add to that? Any comments? If not, we're going to move on to our next agenda item. Just over 3 years ago, President Biden issued the Memorandum on Tribal Consultation and Strengthening Nation-to-Nation Relationship. The President called on the federal government to do the following: honor tribal sovereignty and self-governance, commit to fulfilling the federal trust and treaty responsibilities, and engage in regular, meaningful, and robust consultation with tribal nations. In December of last year, President Biden further expanded the support for tribal self-determination by signing the executive order to reform federal government funding and support tribal nations. What this means is that the federal agencies are required to reform how they provide federal funding and support programs to be more accessible, flexible, and equitable, and remove the burden that tribal nations where possible. The executive order also lays the groundwork for us as an agency to take a closer look at how we operate and work toward honoring our obligations. We're grateful to have Alvin Warren serving on our board, and for his perspective he brings as a lifelong civic leader and tribal member of the Pueblo of Santa Clara, New Mexico. AmeriCorps has continued to answer the President's call across our work, building on a network of partners and creating new opportunities for meaningful conversation. These dialogues have shaped how the agency supports Native nations and Indigenous-led organizations. In just the last year, the agency has done many things. First, hosted AmeriCorps-wide Native American culture competency training to improve the way we engage and interact with our partners across Indian country. We've convened more than 50 grantees at last year's tribal grantee convening, which included a listening session with Michael Smith. We opened a notice of funding opportunities specifically to tribal nations and Indigenous communities. We have invested more than $12 million in Native nations, Indigenous-led organizations through all streams of service, including AmeriCorps seniors. And we have invested more than $920,000 in education awards for those completing their terms of service. We have also recently appointed Brooke Crosby as the strategic advisor for Native American Affairs. We are grateful for Brooke for stepping into this leadership role and for all that she's done for AmeriCorps since joining the team. Later this month, many of the AmeriCorps tribal and Native nations grantees will reconvene in Las Vegas, and we are excited to highlight some of those programs and the incredible work they are doing today. I'm going to turn this over to Alvin now to tell us a little more and to engage some folks who are going to talk about the work that they're doing. So Alvin, back to you.
Thank you, Kathy. It's definitely an exciting time to be at AmeriCorps. I saw some virtual applause for Brooke. I think it's very well deserved. I also want to thank Yasmin, who just did a fantastic job. You'll find at AmeriCorps, we often have a couple of people who are doing the work of 10 or 20 people just accomplishing amazing things. And that's very true about the support for our tribal grantees and our tribal partners. So, we never want to say in a board meeting that anything is more important than any other part. We love hearing from Michael. We love hearing from Kathy. But hands down, this is always the most exciting part of the meeting is when we get to take this virtual tour of the work being done by our grantees and partners. And I'm just thrilled that today's focus is going to be on individuals working with tribal nations, serving tribal nations and indigenous communities. So throughout history, and I say this not just as a very proud member of Capo Owinga, Santa Clara Pueblo, but as an American, indigenous people have demonstrated unparalleled strength, resilience, innovation, as well as a long-standing culture of service and dedication to community. So today we get to hear from individuals who are serving tribal nations and indigenous communities across our country. So I'm going to start by introducing our panel. I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves, where they serve, and share briefly about the program they serve in. So let's start with Lisa. Lisa, would you please introduce yourself, tell us where you served, and a little bit about the program you served in.
Sorry. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. And my video. There we go. My name is Lisa Lawrence Northrop. I'm an enrolled Standing Rock Lakota Nation member. I'm living on the Fond du Lac Ojibwe Reservation for the past 20, 30 years. And I was the crew lead of the Maja Aki Ikenjigiwan, which means taking care of the earth conservation. We worked on the res. It was the first partnership between the tribal nation of Fond du Lac and AmeriCorps. And we did work with natural resources around the res with the young people. And it was very, very good.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. We look forward to hearing a little bit more from you in a little bit. Okay, so let's move over to Abraham. Abraham, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your service?
Hi, good morning from Alaska. My name is Abraham Rivers. I work with the AmeriCorps program. I believe I'm on my third year, and I'm very excited to meet you all, and I'm glad that AmeriCorps is out here in our village.
Thank you, Abraham. We had a number of our folks went out to Alaska last year. We were really excited to be able to do that. And a long time ago, I did some work with the village of Chivak. So it's great to see you joining us today. Thank you for your service. Let's go over to Patience. Patience, would you please introduce yourself and say a little bit about your service?
Hello, Yate. My name is Patience Sabacu. I come from the Navajo Nation in Jemez Pueblo. I'm currently living in Las Cruces, and I'm serving at Raíces del Saber Sinachli Community School, which is in Las Cruces. I am servicing under the Indigenous Educators Corps here in New Mexico. And I am servicing at a charter bilingual elementary school. And yeah, it's very nice.
Thank you, Patience. I'm not supposed to express any preference, but you are from my home state. And my daughter was also in the Indigenous Educator Corps a while ago, my older daughter. So thank you for joining us from Las Cruces. Bill, I'm wondering if you would go ahead and introduce yourself as well. You're an AmeriCorps senior volunteer, which is fantastic. Thank you for joining us. would you please say a little bit about yourself and your service?
Good afternoon. Bonjour. Dinaway Baganadug. Bewase Dishnakaz Moko and Doram Muskasibin Don Jaba. Minowa Made Winini. What I said there is my name is Bewase, my spirit name, and I'm Bear Clan, and I come from Bad River. I've been working with the foster grandparent program for a number of years, and we do a lot of cultural things with the children. And Miigwech, thank you for me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. And I'm going to just ask for your forgiveness ahead of time because I will be trying to pronounce an Ojibwe name in a little bit, and I will do my absolute best, but you might have to coach me afterwards. Okay, let's move over to Isabella. Isabella, would you please introduce yourself, say a little bit about your service?
Hello, everyone. My name is Isabel Paquin, and I am in the Indigenous Educator Corps. I serve in Albuquerque, New Mexico, at the Native American Community Academy at their high school CNM campus.
Wonderful. Thank you also from joining from New Mexico. Good to have a Tiwa speaker on in our meeting. So Isabella, patience, not just because I'm from New Mexico, we are going to start with you. You both serve with the Indigenous Education Corps in New Mexico, but in different schools. So can you each tell us about one moment or experience where you felt your service was having an impact? So Isabella, since you unmuted yourself last, would you please go first?
Yeah, so one moment that I remember very vividly is I chaperoned some students to go rock wall climbing in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I decided to also join them in the rock wall climbing. And I just remember that they were so excited that I was also going to be joining them in the activity. And they were cheering and shouting my name as I was climbing up the wall. And I feel like once they saw me, who can be pretty shy and reserved, like having fun with them, I felt like they could trust me a little more, and maybe I was a little more approachable to them. And I feel like that really helped promote relationship building with the students I interact with daily.
A great story. Patience, would you mind going next?
Yes. A moment where I felt my service was impacted was when I went on a field trip as well. We went to Huecos Tank State Park in El Paso, which is also on the Isleta del Sol Pueblo reservation. We took a group of second graders to go see the petroglyphs that were there, and I got to chaperone there as well. And so just being there and like I felt like I was like home, because I know back on the Navajo reservation we have many of those, and everywhere else in New Mexico. And I just thought it was important that they're still preserving the old ways. And I just think that's very important to let everyone know that Native Americans are still here.
I think it's a very, very important point, Patience. I appreciate that. Abraham, I'm going to go next to you. So I mentioned I did a little bit of work with folks in the village of Chivac, and remember one time flying from Albuquerque, New Mexico, with an intent to try to go meet with folks there, and we made it as far as Bethel, and then basically the weather stopped us there, and we had to do a conference call. This was long before Zoom existed. So we flew all the way just to have a conference call in Bethel. So, travel in Alaska is a little different than in some other places. So I'm wondering, if you would be able to just talk to us a little bit about, what it's like to do this work in rural communities. Maybe even share one of the challenges and explain how, through your service, you've been able to support the community in addressing that challenge.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, when when we plan activities with youth, we'll always end up saying it all depends on the weather. Where the weather is the boss. But a lot of the challenges I see out here, being in rural Alaska, the youth that I work with, there's not much out here for them to do. So, I always like the cultural activities, doing the outdoor activities with the youth, because some of them, the families don't have the money. Some of the families don't, they don't have boats and motors to go to. I was raised by my mom and dad, who taught us a lot about our culture. I use that with the kids. The same teachings I was taught. Culture is important. Who you are is important to us. So I do. When I take out kids hunting, it's not just to hunt. It's not just to get food. You have to know where you are. You have to know what you're doing. You get into an emergency situation. You gotta know. What the current is doing, what weather is doing. So there's so many other challenges to Another big thing is suicide. That's Alaska is known for that, and I've seen suicide since I was a young kid. I'm always looking out for our kids, because they're our future leaders. You try to show positive and give positive things to kids, and so that they can carry that. Like I said, they're our future leaders, and I'm just so happy, that we have AmeriCorps out there. It gives the kids a place, like we use the school, and we have our activities there, and the kids love it. Kids really enjoy it.
Thank you, Abraham. I know from our communities, sharing knowledge is a way of showing love. And I think what you've done with and you continue to do with young people is very, very important. And that connection to our land, to our resources. I'm a farmer, used to be a hunter when I was a little bit younger. And I thought I understood what that meant. And then I went to Alaska and realized what subsistence really looks like. And so that connection to land and to all that it's done to sustain all of our Indigenous peoples is really important. So thank you. Thank you for that work. Okay, Lisa, you were a crew leader with, let's see if I get this even close, the Maji Aki Gekin Jigewan.
Yes.
Bill,
you did it. Yep.
I'm getting a block.
Good job.
All I'm doing is looking at Bill. I didn't see a nod. Okay, I got a partial thumbs up. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so you were part of that crew, which is part of the Conservation Corps of Minnesota and Iowa, which is created in partnership, as you mentioned, with Fond du Lac, the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Ojibwe. So what did it mean to you to serve with an Indigenous crew on tribal land? And I know you're from another tribe, as you mentioned earlier, but can you share with us what you're doing now and after your service, and how your time as a crew leader helped ready you for your future?
Well, it was really a good thing to do to be on the res. It was that partnership I wanted to be. When I saw the job opening, I'm like, I want to do this. And I have a real big heart for youth. And to bring them on, and they've been here all their life. But then as we went around the res, we would talk about the history of the place. Because even though I'm not from here, I've been here for the past 30 years. So I was able to link up things culturally, things with the people and the work that we were doing. It made a lot, it like hit them harder, or hit them, in a good way, for them to do the things that they were doing. And a lot of it was really hard work, and I was really proud of them. And right now, I'm working with behavioral health, in peer crisis support. And having that as a background, being out in the community, we were able to, we know of all these divisions across the res, in natural resources, in cultural, in language, in education. Me and the crew, we knew all these people, but to be able to interact with them on a daily basis really helped each of them, and me right now, I'm able to go out in the community, and even though they know me as I've been here before, that they've seen me out in the community doing this hard work. And the same thing with the crew I worked with. They are way more confident in working with the res, working with people. They know who to go to if they need to go to the res or for any kind of support or questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, those community connections. It's funny, even coming from a small community, maybe you interact more with your family or your immediate family, your relatives, but you don't always know like who to reach out to, what the programs, what the services, what the opportunities are. So like strengthening that network, it means a lot. Thank you. Thanks for that. All right, Bill, coming to you. So you serve as part of the foster grandparent program. As a matter of fact, speaking of applause, I understand that we should give you some applause that you were the Great Lakes Intertribal Council's AmeriCorps Senior Volunteer of the Year in 2020. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Congratulations. That definitely deserves more applause than me stumbling. So based on your personal experience, can you share why you think the AmeriCorps Seniors Program is so valuable, especially for Indigenous communities?
Well, for me, I'm a second generation foster grandparent. My mother also served, and my sister, my late sister, she also was a foster grandmother. And for my generation, myself and my sister, we're both product of that BIA relocation program when a lot of people were going to the cities to get work. And my mother went to Chicago, and she met my dad there and got married, and that's where we were born. But I always traveled back and forth to stay with my grandmother, my grandparents, and so coming back, like I did about 40 years ago, and now I've been here ever since. But it's been a struggle for us to pick up our culture and our traditions. We had to look for that. We really had to, due to a lot of outside influences, there wasn't a lot here. We had to seek people out to learn from. So because of that struggle, it's so important to us to be able to share those things with the youth. And we have things going on now. We have language program. We have one of our big drums is back. We have a lot of good things. We have a brown dance that's going to happen later tonight. And these things weren't here when I was, a young person. Like I said, we had to go other places to find things. And so it's so important that we keep that going. And so being a foster grandparent, I'm able to share with the kids things that I've learned, things how I learned how to take care of sacred fire, a lot of different teachings. I want to make sure I pass them on because, like I said, it was so hard to get those things back. And now we have our youth that those things are right here for them now. So we want to make sure that keeps going.
Thank you for sharing that. I think this is something that's really important for a lot of people to know about tribal nations, Native communities. There's, yes, we have challenges like any other community, but there's incredibly powerful things that we have. Our cultures, our languages, people who have stayed in our communities, those who've come back, those who are in our communities, maybe from another place that are helping, that are serving, and what that means to kind of replenish those things and be able to offer those to our youth. So your story is a perfect demonstration of that. And as well as you coming from a family of service. I think that's really inspirational to all of us. Well, I wish I could just keep talking with all of you, but I have one last question, and you're all welcome to answer this one. So what's one thing that you would like the public to know about serving in a tribal nation with an indigenous community that you think they might not know? So anybody feel free to take that question, or all of you.
That's a
I
good
can go
question.
first. No one else jumped in. Well, in Bad River, like I mentioned before, it was a struggle to pick up things and bring them back, and we have that revitalization going on. But we have to remember we're all diverse communities, so I can only speak of Bad River. And what I was told, one of the teachings, when I learned about how did we come to be here, is our prophecy and how we followed. We came from the out east, hundreds of years ago, from the Atlantic coast, actually. And we followed a path here to where we are now. And we were told to stop when we came to that place where the food grows on water. And that was our wild rice. And our wild rice here that grows on the Kakagan sloughs of Lake Superior, to us, it's the best in the world. You can't beat it. And I'm sure other Ojibwe reservations will say the same thing, but we have the best. But anyway, because of that, it's so important to us to protect that. With all the things going on, the climate change, the pipelines, and there's a movie called Bad River that's coming out later this month, and it kind of chronicles all those struggles that we've been through. So if anyone gets a chance to go see that. But we also, because of all those things, we're very protective of everything that we have here. So I just thought I wanted to share that. Which.
Thank you, Bill. And we'll go next to Abraham. Bill, maybe you could put the name of that movie in the chat.
Okay, just Bad River.
That's pretty easy. Abraham.
All right. I'll go with this. You come into our community of Scammon Bay. If you never been here, we're very welcoming people. We'll treat you with respect. We'll make sure that you eat. You jump off the plane and kids see you, they're going to run up to you and they're going to ask you, who are you? What are you doing here? And that's something I wanted to share. It's probably like that in every village. But again, thank you guys for having me. I'm very grateful to represent my community and the people here. And last, hi, Michael.
Hey. I'm sorry, Abraham, I didn't know you were from Scammon Bay, so I took that plane. Does it still fly from Bethel to Scammon and Hooper Bay?
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting. I remember that flight well. Okay.
Yep.
I'm opening up, same question. Is there anything that you would like people to just know about serving in a tribal community, indigenous community? Patients, Lisa, Isabella?
I don't exactly serve in indigenous, on like a reservation, but I do serve they teach like Mesoamerican, so they integrate Mesoamerican culture into the curriculum. But I guess from like my reservation, the Navajo reservation, they're very sacred people, and they always like to protect their traditions, all their traditions. And I would just say it's very beautiful. If you've never been to the Navajo reservation, you should go soon. I am very grateful to be on here. Ahiehe, which is thank you in Navajo. Yeah. And then if you ever go to Jemez Pueblo, make sure you eat a lot. They are very much, they have feast days. So if you ever go to a feast day, August 2nd or November 12th, they are open to the public.
Haitian, what's the best place to get an enchilada?
Jemez enchiladas.
That's the
Jemez
right answer.
enchiladas are the best.
Yeah, it's an insight. If you've never been to New Mexico, that's the thing you got to know.
It's Amos.
Jemez
Amos.
enchiladas.
Okay.
Jemez Pueblo, famous for them. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah.
New Mexico's question is red or green?
Oh.
Christmas.
That's the easy way out. No, fake. That's the easy way out. Okay, Lisa, Isabella.
I think I would want people to know that it was an honor to be on the AmeriCorps, that first team. And this should be promoted all over in Native country. It was what it fostered inside the youth, but something that's needed. That culture and community is something that needs to be happening to keep us alive. We're here, we've been here this long. I want to see it strong.
Lisa. Isabella, we get to end with you.
Yeah, so I want the public to know that in Indigenous communities, knowledge is power, and having access to education is so important for our communities. And, despite all of the historical trauma we have gone through, we persevered, we are flourishing, and we're still here, and we're not going anywhere. And I'm really grateful to be able to serve the community I serve, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Isabella. Well, I just want to tell you, kung dawa baiki bo hawit sa jandi, hawit o umoy baiki na chat mo. Na enyegi ha se do kui jogi nambit o agi ha baiki o ve kaget nandi. Hey, hawi o ve ha andi baiki na chat mo nambi hu gimo ha nambi gimo ne hawi ha in sharing hawi gimo ne a baiki na chat mo na gimo. Ila nambi kuyo nambi sa doing tongo we ha hori koning na shanki wan boat akiwe pe hu we kaget ka hu. I just want to tell you all thank you. Everything you're doing, it's very meaningful. It's very important for our elders, for our young people, for our communities, for our people. And I just want to say that, on behalf of our board, we appreciate what you're doing. And may you be blessed. May you be strengthened in the work that you do, because it matters. So thank you all very much for joining us today. So I'll turn it back to you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. First, you're all really hard to follow up on, so I'm like not wanting to follow all of you. But Abe, I want to come to Alaska, and when I come, I'm calling you because I feel like I have a whole new meaning to weather permitting. I'm going to start saying weather permitting all the time just because of you. So.
Smokes his old salmon too. Cold smoke, delicious. So you got to go.
Yeah, I heard Michael's been talking about you, so I'm my plan.
I told you not to tell anyone.
Just between us.
Just us kids here. Thank you so much. Now, thank you, Alvin, for taking the lead on this because you thought you had a hard time pronouncing that. I never would have gotten it. So you're way ahead of me. But thank you all. It's really great. This is our favorite part of the meeting. I said it earlier. Hearing from you and letting everybody else who's on this call hear from you about the work that you're doing and what it means to you and your community. And community is really important. So thank you again to all of you who participated. With the time remaining, the board is now open to hearing comments from members of the public on what is being discussed, what we've discussed today, or if you had some comment that something else you'd like to bring up. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes so that we have the ability to actually get in as many people as we possibly can. So I'm going to turn this back over to LSI.
All right, we have one hand raised, Judd Jeanson.
Janson.
And your microphone is enabled.
Let's see. All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Michael. You have nailed the pronunciation once again. Glad I can rely on you. You pronounce it better than a lot of people in Louisiana, I've got to say. A pleasure to be with you all this afternoon. Back with you at the board meeting. I just got back from DC myself, just returned to Louisiana, returned from the America's Service Commission's leadership convening. I want to thank Michael and Sonali, who joined us both for the board meeting and for our convening on Wednesday, along with some staff members. It was great to see them and have some great conversations with them. Also great to see Abe, I've got to say, because Michael, you've mentioned Abe several times. I know your experience in Alaska was powerful. And as recently as Wednesday, you talked about Abe. So I feel like I got to meet a celebrity. So that was exciting. As was from hearing from all the tribal representatives. Every time I go to DC and get to interact with my colleagues, I come back inspired. I learn a ton, and this was no exception. I did want to share with the board, there's so many great things going on at the state level. You know, the states and territories are our laboratories of democracy. There's a lot of exciting things happening there. And there's a lot of traction right now with the states, the State Service Commission Network, and the philanthropy sector. And we had some great philanthropic representation at the convening. And one of the exciting partnerships is with the Schultz Family Foundation and with the National Governors Association, and doing some work with 10 different states, looking at best practices and finding ways to design and expand innovative service to career pathway models. I know that's something we've all been talking about a lot. So it was great to have NGA representation there, Schultz representation there, and we got to hear what was happening on the ground in both Idaho and Wisconsin, two of the states that are participating in that. So really robust things happening at the state level. You know, I think sometimes we focus on the federal and can sometimes get frustrated at all the challenges that we see there, but there's some really exciting things happening at the state level. As I mentioned, Wednesday, we were able to meet with Michael, Sonali, and staff to discuss some of the most pressing issues for the field. We had a series of pre-submitted questions. Michael, I did want to share with you that the overwhelming feedback I got was an appreciation to have all the staff there. They thought it showed a seriousness of the questions and of wanting to take the process seriously. And for a lot of them, they met staff that they hadn't seen before and got some details. There were some disappointing answers, I will say, but there was an appreciation from the field for the process. I did just want to touch on one thing, and I know it follows up on a conversation that you guys had yesterday with folks from Voices for National Service and ASK, and that's just the issue of supplemental funding. I think of all the things that we talked about on Wednesday, this one has the greatest sense of urgency. As you know, we have some of our states that have been unable to spend their ARPA funds for a variety of reasons. A lot of times it's a process issue. Others that were very ambitious in getting those dollars out of the door, and now they're facing a cliff, not only with the expiration of ARPA funds, but with the constraints that we're seeing with rescission and the reduction in slots next year. As was mentioned, I think yesterday, I think it's a win-win-win that we're missing out on. It's a chance for us not to return money to the Treasury. We did that involuntarily with rescission. We have a chance to in-house make sure that we don't send excess funds back to Treasury. We take from those that aren't able to spend it, given to those who can. In knowing that we're going to lose member slots next year, I think this is a mitigation against that. Those states that are at the end on expenses can continue programs that they won't be able to do otherwise. And I think from a relational standpoint, once we extend funding and then we pull it back, we invite people into the national service family, and then we tell them there's no more space for them. It becomes a challenge for relationship maintenance, and they're not likely to come back. Once we know it's a tough process. It takes a lot of work. So there can be some damage in the field, and we want to mitigate that as much as possible. So I think this is one of those things that's really a win-win-win for the agency, for state commissions, and most importantly, the organizations in the field. And just want to urge the agency and the board to reconsider that position on supplemental funds for ARPA as time is running out on those. So appreciate the time. And Michael, 3 times in a week. Good to see you once again.
You too, Judd. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Judd. We had heard a lot about this, and we would definitely keep this in mind. And we appreciate you sharing your view on this.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else? Any other questions? Raise your hand if you do.
Oh, we just got one. Jennifer Lance. All right, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering if you could go through the stipend again, what the plans are coming up with that, Michael? Or
what I was able to share was the Biden administration has taken significant actions to raise the living allowance considerably, at least in one of our programs, Vista. We've moved from about what is the equivalent to $7 an hour to $11 an hour in the 3 years of the Biden administration. So this is a big priority. President Biden last summer asked Congress to provide the resources needed so that we can get to $15 an hour. And so we are hoping that our partners and friends in the United States Congress could provide the resources that we can get there. Regardless, this still remains a priority for us to make sure that our members have the resources so that they can eat and live while they are serving. And this is also a priority for us for our seniors programs, where we have made record increases as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Anyone else?
There are no hands at the moment.
We'll give it 2 more minutes. This is your last call. If not, well, I want to again thank everyone who came today, everyone who participated. We had over 200 people on this call, and I think that shows the interest people have to hear what is happening and how they can be more involved. So I want to thank everyone for being here, and we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. So we are ready we will adjourn now. Thank you so much.